To disable the lens map curve so it doesn't disrupt the data that we are bringing to the cinema camera, select your frustum camera, which you can do down here, or scroll down in your world outliner and select your camera, and then go to focus settings. And then you can see what this is doing is it's sending the lens data in a linear fashion. What we want is a curve that matches the lens focus curve. In your content browser, let's go to VP Toolkit content, and let's go to lens profiles. We've already went through and mapped these lens profiles, but I'm going to quickly show you how that was done. If you right click and go to miscellaneous and go to curve and select curve float, name this the name of your lens. This is the Cinema Prime series, but I'm just going to do a one that says setup so that we can just go through the beginning process of this. So now you're going to want to go to the beginning of your lens. Make sure that your A point is set correctly, because you can see now we're at the beginning of the lens and we're actually two numbers off here, float numbers, coming from the encoder. So you can either re-zero out the encoder or reset your A. If you could go to the end of the lens, you just want to make sure that this still lines up with the end of your lens, especially if the beginning has shifted a little bit. Generally here, I like to find out the minimum focal distance of my lens. I usually search for this online, or if you have any type of documentation on your lens, you can find out. Sometimes the first mark on your lens is not actually the minimum. You can go a little further. That should be in the documentation of your lens through whatever company your lens is. What we're going to be doing is mapping on this curve the different points of your lens so that we have an accurate curve of the lens data coming into Unreal Engine. So you just want to create a mark. So before you start making marks, I'd recommend to zoom out, because we will be going from 0 to 10,000. So you just want to make sure that you can see a lot of your range here, and it's easier to work once you've zoomed out. And then so my first mark, I'm going to put this at 0, and then the minimum of my lens, which for this lens is 30.48 centimeters. And then we're going to go to our first mark. So if you could go to your first mark, Sean.
It was a first mark.
Okay. And then so what you want to do is you want to copy the linear output, which is if you go to manual focal distance, that is the linear output of your lens, as long as you just have the lens mapping on, no curve, and then input that into the first field of your lens key here. And then the second one will be the mark that you want it to be at. So if we could go to the second mark. So the second mark is 33.2 centimeters. I'm going to make a new key here by just pressing the center mouse button. That's the easiest way to just pop it on there, or you can right click and hit add key. So make sure that you have that selected, and then we will place it. I'm going to copy the linear lens data from the manual focus and add it here, and then set this to 33.02. And then let's add one more. An overview of what we're doing is you're going to take the linear lens data, which is just the lens data coming in and then being mapped to between 0 and 10,000 to your manual focus. And so we're going to copy that and add that to each key. We want to add where it is linearly, and then where we want it to be on the curve. So this key is at 35.56. This lens is in inches and feet. So we're doing a conversion into millimeters and meters. If your lens already has millimeters and meters, then you'll just be going off of those specific marks. Continue on doing it like that. So this is what the final result of this lens looks like. Towards the end, I generally just do the last one before infinity, and then I don't add a mark for the infinity if it is not the top, if it is not the end of the lens, and I just add 10,000 here. This will make it so that from your last mark to 10,000 is pretty much your infinity mark. So now to test your curve, you want to go up to the VP Toolkit widget and go to lens curve and enable that, and then select the curve that you have made. We're going to select the cinema camera 24mm. The way to check and see if this is accurate is put the lens at one of the marks and compare it to what your frustum camera or your camera that you're sending this to is now doing. We brought our lens to the 2 foot mark, which is 24 inches, and that converted into centimeters is 60.96 centimeters. So we are fairly accurate here within 0.1 centimeter. This can also vary depending upon where you're at on the mark. Trying to line those marks up as accurately as possible is going to give you the best results.